Boruto is on a generational run. Now, when I say that, many people might wonder what he means or why I'm saying this. It is because in Two Blue Vortex, many have said that it has yet to miss with a single chapter. And it has a plot twist so good, according to some, that it completely changed their view on Boruto and made them quote unquote switch up. Well, I disagree with this notion. Not because I think Boruto is bad in these chapters or that I think it actually only gets good after this, but completely the opposite. Due to my recent reread of Boruto and actually diving into the deeper meanings and themes of a lot of characters and hidden narratives within a few arcs, it goes without saying that I think Boruto has almost a flawless run, or a run that is only done better by a manga that is truly a 10 out of 10 without a single flaw, or something that you think is the peak of media or fiction. Now, in the future, I would like to make a more in-depth video on the specific topics said within this video, but for now, this will serve as a video that just minorly talks about some of those themes and narratives that I mentioned that I think makes the run of Boruto truly something impressive. I won't touch on Naruto and Sasuke because they had a completely other 700 chapter manga that we know is very impressive and dives into their characters better than I would do justice in this video. I mean, after my reread of Boruto, genuinely it is one of the only mangas that has either a complete roster of good arcs or a complete roster of good arcs besides one bad arc, or in even simpler terms, all hits and no misses. This is up to even the current Two Blue Vortex arc or chapter 9 of the current Two Blue Vortex manga. But to start us off, let's begin with one of my personal favorite arcs, that being the first arc, the Momoshiki arc. The Momoshiki arc serves as the perfect start off for Boruto's character, establishing first that something in the future happens to destroy everything in the village, gaining everyone's attention and making the viewers want to read more and get to the next page. After this though, Boruto starts to narrate the story, telling us that our favorite Naruto is only a part of this story at the beginning, and that Boruto isn't a story about a boy wanting to become Hokage like his dad, because his starts off with a brat who wanted his dad's attention, and he just can't help that his dad is a part of his story. Now, what surprised me about this is how obvious they were with their intentions when writing this arc, almost like they knew it would be misinterpreted and put down because people just hate that, oh, a kid's acting like a kid. But what shocked me even more is how people still misinterpreted his character and misunderstood the story and didn't understand anything despite them being so obvious with the intentions. But what I think truly makes this arc great is it gives a relatable and understandable character flaw to Boruto with his family issue and why he's mad at Naruto, but by the end of the arc, he gains the will of fire, while also coming to terms with his father and becoming understanding, even the villain serving as a parallel to Boruto if he were to be a cheater, that being Momoshiki, while Naruto showing him what hard work can get you. This arc did everything flawlessly, giving us a banger start off to a truly great run it has had. Next arc I will combine is the Mujina Bandit arc and the Owl arc, since the Mujina Bandit arc is really just too short for my liking and almost has not enough to call it a full arc in my opinion. But this is where Boruto's themes become overlooked. Starting with the first theme, they take one of the old characters that was present in Naruto Shippuden, that it is about Naruto talking about scientific ninja tools. Boruto gets mad at him because he thinks Naruto is being kind of deceiving by using a scientific ninja tool after the whole stuff about the first arc in the Momoshiki arc and it not being allowed in the Chunin exams. Naruto then has to explain to Boruto that yes, he didn't allow it within the Chunin exams, that is because that is a test for your skills only and not ninja tools, but that does not mean that the tools are inherently bad or good. Sasuke then cuts in and then says, it just matters how you use them. Keep in mind this theme for the coming arcs and just the arc of Boruto in general as a character, because in the very next arc, we get introduced and shown the full characters of the Kara organization. This is an organization led by a Otsutsuki inside of a human body named Ishiki, who has a bunch of cyborgs and people working with him to get to his goal of obtaining a perfect body and eating a god tree fruit. The first characters that do battle within this arc are Delta and then Boro. Now, why this is important is because it is showing us that the statement Naruto made about scientific ninja tools not being inherently bad or good, and it varying on how you use them within these two fights itself, because Delta and Boro are completely scientific ninja tool enhanced, almost completely robotic, Delta even having multiple bodies and multiple spares just in case she gets blown up, but it is showing us that they can be used for evil deeds, because these are used by Jigen in order to kill people and sent to destroy people, and also sent to just guard and fight and do bad things within the shinobi world. This is completely paralleled and shown to be the opposite with Kashin Koji, who is a double agent because he actually is sent to destroy Ishiki and Jigen just to make sure he does not reincarnate. This is showing us that Kashin Koji can be a good person while also being a scientific ninja tool, and a motto though his intentions are not clear right now, is just using this Kashinkoji drone to kill Ishiki, or make sure Jigen can't be used as a temporary vessel and implant another perfect karma on Kawaki. But what gets this even better is because Kashinkoji is not only just a cyborg or ninja tool, he is someone who is clinging on to the fate of Jiraiya. Jiraiya being a good guy who died to guide within Naruto Shippuden, and Kashinkoji being another good guy or scientific ninja tool good guy who is also battling God, but he does not end up dead like Jiraiya. He only ends up crippled and runs away after completing his mission via Amato and being used as a good tool, now in Two Blue Vortex, leading Boruto to become the hero of the ninja world. This is basically showing us that yes, not only are scientific ninja tools not inherently bad, like was stated by Naruto, but also clinging on to the fate that was Jiraiya and having a different outcome makes this a complete upgrade in Jiraiya's character and what Jiraiya's fate was. Now on to Kawaki, who I will dive into his personal narrative a little later, but he also embodies the concept of it just matters how you use the tool is not inherently bad, because unlike Delta or Kashinkoji or Boro, he is not good or bad. He is more or less in a gray area, as he is just a kid who does not want to be harmed anymore and escapes from Kara's clutches, but also does not want to be in a village with Naruto because he feels like it will turn out just like Jigen. Because he has so much trauma from being so young and abused by every family that he's had that he no longer knows love. But what Naruto does is instill this love and happiness into Kawaki, him paralleling a vase or vessel, because that's what Jigen viewed him as, but instead of instilling happiness and warmth into the body that is Kawaki, or the vessel, he instills pain, evil deeds, and just bad thoughts. This is shown when Kawaki breaks the vase, showing how Naruto is breaking Kawaki as a being, and when he rebuilds it to put water in it, shown when the vase starts leaking and Kawaki starts to cry. It comes full circle in the fact that it rid him of all of the evil that Jigen instilled in him. While his character still has cracks, he still has time to rebuild himself and grow, shown with the one tear that goes down his face. Because now that he has rebuilt himself somewhat, not perfect, and he just recently thought that karma was the only way to fill his hollow body. But Boruto as a brother and Naruto as a father figure continues to just build his character, like I said. This is one theme that is not overlooked at all, because Kawaki is one of the characters that people don't suffer from the reading comprehension devil, and it can actually comprehend his character. But I guess that is only in part 1, because as you'll see with this video, part 2 Kawaki kind of gets overlooked a bit and mischaracterized. But moving on, because Kawaki's character actually grows and develops even past this, though, like I said, I will dive into that once we get to the Two Blue Vortex section, or the section within the code arc. Moving on to the main big bad, or the villain of this arc, which just gets overlooked so much because people think because he's strong and because he's powerful, that is all it is to his character. But I think Kishimoto Kodachi did a great job of fleshing out Ishiki, so I will just go over what the themes he embodies are. But besides his parallels with Kawaki, we get the first key detail on Ishiki's character once he resurrects in Jigen's body with his short lifespan versus Kashinkoji. He is talking to Kashinkoji about how everyone has a fate predestined, and how he is the only one who can escape this fate because he is a god and he will evolve. And with karma, he can just resurrect over and over, not having to worry about a short lifespan or death at all. This is shown more when we look at the other chapters, when he's talking about Kawaki, or Kawaki has this flashback, and he's telling Kawaki that he can never be filled. He can never be satisfied. He can never fill that hole within his heart and his being, because he is just a hollow vessel. We can look at this as Ishiki can never be filled. He can never feel that hunger, that desire, or that in his being, because he seeks to evolve, and if he doesn't have that, he just will never be satisfied. The only way he can seal this hole within his being is with karma, with power, and with evolution, which is why he is trying to do what Shibai did and transcend to the next dimension. And the reason why Kashinkoji lost, not only due to the extreme power difference, is because he was clinging to the fate of Jiraiya, and he just didn't want to end up like him. But he inevitably didn't end up like him because he didn't suffer the same fate as Jiraiya and didn't die. We then see when Ishiki fights Baryon mode that he really just shows emotion and shows the real Ishiki for the first time, when he's on the brink of losing and brink of just throwing away everything that he's worked towards for 1,000 years. When Baryon Naruto Boruto is able to not only just beat up on him, but bring him closer to death than anyone had previously, even Kaguya. This is a person who is shown to be scared of fate, who is shown to be scared and empty, and the one who doesn't want to die, is now losing to a bunch of people who have battled fate a long time ago and who don't care to throw away their life for something that they love. He just can't seem to understand this. This is why he yells and throws a fit, almost like a man-child. Ishiki is then beaten by the very person who filled that hole, the very person who is no longer a vessel for darkness and despair, the person who was shown happiness by Naruto, and the person who he said was empty and would never fill their hole in their heart, Kawaki. This makes his character come full circle and serves as a flawless end to his character. After this, the last thing we see of Ishiki is him passing on his ideals to Code, showing a passing of the torch of sorts. Because now that he cannot complete this goal, he wants the person who respected him the most and served Kara the most dearly, even being weakened due to his following of Jigen and Ishiki as a guide, to just continue the legacy. This is showing that he realizes that you're not supposed to run away from fate, you're not supposed to play God, you're not supposed to be this unkillable, unbeatable, just omnipotent person. You're supposed to pass on your ideals to the next generation, which is one of the overarching themes of Boruto as a whole, making him one of the greatest and most well-written characters Kishimoto or Kodachi has ever done. I love Ishiki. He has to be my favorite in the entire series, besides probably Kawaki or Jura, but I'll dive into them more later. Now, the next arc is really the Code arc, which Code is not liked by a lot of the fandom. This is not because I think they misread his reading, but I think the fact that he takes so many L's, which is in character for him, clouds their judgment. Code's writing is something truly unique for an antagonist, and I think what Kishimoto is doing with him is something very great. Let's begin. Code starts off as being hyped up as one of the strongest of Kara, and someone who is so strong that he had to be limited so he wouldn't undermine Jigen's power or Jigen's leadership. This is kind of crazy because it shows that while he is very powerful, he respects Ishiki so much that he doesn't want to threaten his leadership, so just to be around him and continue his Kara deeds, he will limit himself. After Ishiki dies, he no longer has a reason to limit himself, so goes on to seek people who can help him to get rid of his limiters, that being Ida and by virtue Amato and Damon. But before this, he has to do something for Ida, that is build her relationship with Kawaki. I'll go into more of her character later on in this video. But when he's fighting Kawaki and Boruto, he is meant to parallel them because not only does he know a lot about karma and seeks this power for his own, but they are ones who are trying to find a way to get rid of karma, Kawaki already being someone who has gotten rid of karma, and Boruto being someone who doesn't want the karma mark anymore either. He is showing them that yes, there are beings who want the Otsutsuki to control them, want this Otsutsuki power, and just want to do evil and continue on the legacy of the Otsutsuki. After being defeated by Borishiki and Kawashiki respectively, he goes back to the base with Ida and Damon and captures Amato after taking a little trip to Konoha through a claw mark that he left on Shikamaru. He then gets rid of the limiters that were put on his power and says he doesn't think he can lose to anyone. This is, of course, before fighting Damon, because Damon also someone who is granted very crazy power by Amato, like he is, his power surpassing Jigen as well, is able to completely pummel him without even using any of his crazy abilities. He then says basically it is what it is, he can't let this stop him, and goes to the Jubi to make an army to increase his power exponentially through strength in numbers. When we see him again, it is post-omnipotence, and it is basically vowing to take revenge on Boruto for stealing Ida away from him, for stealing Ishiki away from him, and just being the person who is getting everything that he wants. He is basically jealous of Boruto, but the omnipotent Shinjutsu is really messing with his brain. In Two Blue Vortex, he finally comes to terms with the fact that he can't find Boruto after their minor scuffle, which resulted in Sasuke being turned into a tree 2 years prior, so he shows up to the Leaf Village in order to force Boruto to come out. Once Boruto comes out from hiding, when he was really just training in order to combat threats like Code, Kawaki, and the Shinju, they have a fight. Due to Code thinking, I guess, Boruto was still going to be weak or Boruto wasn't ever going to be able to reach his level, he kind of underestimates Boruto and rushes at him in base. Boruto's Uzuhiko takes over him. He activates karma, but it is far too late. Boruto had already won at that point. Boruto then destroys him in the craziest Rasengan we have seen yet in the story, which takes use of the planet's rotation and the planet's chakra, using it to just damage you over time and mess with your 5 senses. After this, Boruto basically forces Code to take him to the Ten Tails dimension. Due to Code retreating and him having flying Raijin, he can kind of follow him there. So he kind of did it without Code's consent, but whatever, the planet's in danger. This is then where it kind of shows Code's narrative as a character as a whole. His power is so great that he is able to create beings that are just more powerful than him, and it shows us that him being a follower and devout worshiper of the Otsutsuki, and them being his god, quote unquote, has made him not only a slave to the Otsutsuki, but a slave to his own power. One of the Shinju even contextualizes this and says that he's just meant to be a loser, used by everyone else, and doing nothing on his own. Showing that yes, he is a slave to his own power, a slave to an Otsutsuki, and someone who is destined to just be a loser. This makes him, since he can't deal with the Shinju on his own, retreat, and we haven't seen him yet, but again, it's only 9 chapters into part 2. His character has a lot of growth to go through, but for right now, this is impeccable writing and something that I'm very interested to see how it turns out. The person I think suffers from the reading comprehension devil the most, and people kind of just minimizing her character, because it kind of just shows how shonen fans are a bit sexist and misogynistic when it comes to a female character revolving around love. They kind of just demean and demonize her character to seem like it's way more shallow than it really is. But of course I am talking about Ida. Now, Ida's main thing is her wanting love. She is a little girl burdened with the power of God, wanting for the essential needs of a teenager, that being the experience of love and genuine love, because she is incapable of having a genuine connection due to her power. So it forces her to really not understand herself and just go for Kawaki, because he is the only person so far that we've met in the world that actually is unaffected by her ability and a potential romantic partner for her due to him being of age or close to her in age. So instead of realizing that he might not be the one, she is just kind of confused about love in general, so she just has to go for him, even though he turns out to not really like her all that much. She is battling with the fact that the only person who can love her just might not be the one and might not actually love her. We are seeing hints of this in Two Blue Vortex and the Omnipotence arc, where she's always asking, well, what about me, Kawaki? What about this? What about this? And Kawaki just really shows no intention of caring about her at all. Not that he has to care about her just because she wants love, but it is the fact that it's kind of a sad story and sad narrative that she wants so much for this, but due to Amato kind of just tinkering with her and putting Shibai cells inside of her body, whenever he did, she just can't experience this thing that she longs for. Damon, for the most part, being a protective little brother who just likes to act like a child and who has fun. But what's kind of interesting about him is he's one of the smartest people battle-wise in the verse. When it comes to the power knowledge and just the verse knowledge of jutsu and such, he's able to explain Uzuhiko without even looking at it, just sensory alone. He's able to gauge Code's power in relation to Jigen and such. And it's just a bunch of stuff that we don't know how he can sense. He's even able to sense that Himawari has some type of secret power when nobody else thought it. I'm interested to see where his character goes as well, but we'll just have to wait for that in the future, given how there's only 9 chapters out of Two Blue Vortex again. Amato is a man with a one bad day type of character, whom is just trying to play God and create all these powerful beings and abilities, or should I say transfer, because like I said, he can only play God. It's only up to the true gods who can create unique abilities for themselves. This is stated when he's telling us about the Shibai lore. But he realizes he is just a human and is unable to really do anything, shown in how he can't save his daughter, the only thing that he wants to do, but he still clings to her fate with robots that look like her or who are made in her image, those being Delta. Now back to Kawaki. He has become a complete consequentialist due to all of the trauma from the death, the ones who showed him love, that he traps them in a dimension with no time, telling them that they don't have to understand, and also telling them that he is crazy, even saying that only a crazy person can kill their own brother. This is showing the lengths that he'll go to protect what he loves and what changed and filled his broken heart. Because again, we have to realize that Boruto, Naruto, and Hinata were the only people to show him that he is not a vessel for evil and that he can actually have true love, happiness, and bonds. This is mostly due to how he is basically convinced that Momoshiki is going to take over Boruto, or that he is living with Boruto, Not only because he just has done it before when he tried to threaten the code, when he tried to threaten the 7th Hokage in Naruto's life, along with Code teaming up with the main villain of the arc, but it is also because Boruto lies to him about Momoshiki and his consciousness fusing when Kawaki demands an answer from him. This doesn't offer us a tool for power scaling, but it offers us the personification of what we were told all these years about how Otsutsuki's constantly evolve. Because yes, being told that Otsutsuki's evolve and become powerful is great, but we need someone as proof, and we need someone who has actually done this to show us just how real it truly is. It's kind of the difference between showing you $1 million and telling you I have $1 million. One just hits way harder. Now we are up to Momoshiki and Boruto. Throughout the story post his death, within the first arc, Momoshiki has become a presence looming over Boruto, threatening a prophecy that is to come and serving as the inner demon of the Boruto universe. He becomes a person who is then using Boruto to hurt his own friends and constantly being the catalyst for traumatic events in Boruto's life, slowly pushing him over the edge so that he can live as Boruto and become the god he wants, destroying the planet itself. I won't touch on part 1 Boruto that much because I have an entire narrative breakdown and character breakdown that I made for him. It's like 30 minutes long. I'll link it in the description below and also within this video. So check that out. I'll again have the link in the description. But Boruto does not fall into despair, and he instead tells us that he shares the will of fire with Minato and Naruto and promises to come back one day to save Kawaki, as he doesn't want this to end in a brotherly bloodshed. Now on to Two Blue Vortex. The current villains of Boruto Two Blue Vortex are much more interesting, I guess, than I previously had thought, because it doesn't seem to be Code, at least for right now. Now, again, we're only 9 chapters in, but they are just the Shinju or advanced claw grind that are made with Code's power. They're already stated to have surpassed Code, so we don't have to worry about Code, power cliffing them or being stronger than them, because they're already a greater threat than him. But what's so interesting about all of them is that they don't follow the same, deep backstory, very smart guy who planned everything in his life, and is just some guy who was done dirty by the world. No, it's not any of that. It's not any of the Obito or Madara stuff. It's more that they were just born and they are operating purely off instinct. They have this desire and need for knowledge in which they think consuming a person who they have a connection to will grant them at least some of this knowledge. So they all basically have a target and have a reason for seeking and gaining knowledge, and Jura, being the leader of them, has extreme interest in books and Naruto, while the Sasuke clone Hidari has an extreme interest in Sarada, and Moegi and Bug have an interest in Konohamaru, Team 10, and Ida respectively. I like them writing the villain this way because it gives a lot of room for growth in new things and not just concepts that are possibly rehashed or concepts that we have seen done before. It also gives a way to increase the usefulness of the side characters by giving each one a different villain to handle. This makes me excited for the future and growth of these characters and excited to see how they will be defeated. Next up is how Boruto embodies the concept of stoicism within Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Now, adult Sasuke was already a stoic due to all of the emotional things that he went through with part 1 and part 2. It inevitably made him a stoic because of his job. Boruto now have adopted this same concept as he has the weight of the world and is the only hope for the Shinobi world now that all of the old gen heroes are either sealed or dead. Boruto, even though his master is a tree, even though his father is sealed in a dimension where time doesn't flow, even though he can't seem to see his family or have the same warmth and love that he once felt, even though he can't even be around Sarada or his own teammates, even though his brother is trying to kill him and is out for blood, he still sits there with a stern expression, not buckling under fear or emotions and just trying to get the job done. He is aware that the whole world is against him. He is aware that he is in the worst possible position, but he's still focused on his mission without complaint and without any of the teary-eyed, depressed, or sad BS. This, I think, elevates his character so much more because we can see sometimes this stoic expression and stoic look kind of cracks when he's met with something very emotional or when he makes a mistake, but he still withholds it and upholds these expressions nonetheless, kind of showing that he has adopted this Sasuke type persona or Sasuke type look because his master has been basically the only one he's trained with throughout the 3 years that he's been missing, him and Kashin Koji. Kawaki has become a full consequentialist, not even just in part 1 or at the end of part 1 showing us the lengths he'll go. Now we see the full reason and reasons to be scared of the power that is karma and of the Otsutsukis in general, with the claw grime and with Boruto not knowing how to control his karma. Even though we have Naruto Gaiden to kind of push off her character with a great emotional start, and throughout Boruto Part 1, she's kind of embodying what it means to be Hokage and showing us her ninja way and just how much she will do to protect the village and protect her friends, even going as far as force her father to become a rogue ninja again, just to keep Boruto safe, and awakening the Mangekyo in one of the most emotional days that a shinobi has ever faced, especially at 12 years old. In Two Blue Vortex, she is now clashing with the Hokage and clashing with Kawaki, showing us that he won't have his way within the Leaf Village, and showing us that she won't stand for things being the way they are because it is just unfair. This partnered with how she will eventually have to clash with, and now with Hidari as an enemy, her relationship and feelings with Sasuke leaving the village, and the consequences of the Omnipotence Jutsu kind of has to come full circle, and she has to come to terms with all of this to show that she can be the Hokage. Lastly, we have Mitsuki's relationship with Boruto and Kawaki, and him finding who his true son is, and inevitably being able to shine on his own, not needing anyone to show his light or illuminate the darkness that he cast as the moon. This will be an arc of Mitsuki showing himself self-respect and showing that he can do everything on his own without needing someone else just to constantly be around him to show his full potential. He has already begun to show signs of this with him and Boruto's battle within Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 of Boruto. But again, with only 9 chapters in, this still has to come full circle, and Boruto also implies that he can talk to him anytime he wants, he knows where he is. But like I said, these characters still have so much room to grow, and they are already such interesting and unique characters who are already so well written that I am just excited with every new coming Boruto chapter. Lastly, I would like to say this video does not serve as a complete breakdown of all of these themes, concepts, and characters, but it serves a bit of an overview, and videos to come will dive into each of these themes, concepts, and characters in full with their own dedicated video. With that being said, I am enjoying my Boruto reread so much, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and goodbye.